everybody, and welcome to another edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. As always, I'm Robbie. This is Kyle. Kyle, how are you tonight, buddy?
What's up, dude? I'm doing great. Just living the life. Yeah, that's all I can say. It's a hot day today.
Yeah, it was. It's been a hot last few days, so definitely make sure you're staying hydrated out there. Right? Drink plenty of water. Go in the shade. No need.
As Mr. Freeze would say, stay cool.
Yes, stay icy cold. But yeah, so hope everybody's staying well out there as always. And for tonight's episode, obviously, again, if you've watched our episodes over these last few months, we've sort of been taking trips down memory lane with different teams, or from the pro level to the college level to all the way back in our high school days. And we wanted to take another trip all the way in the Wayback Machine to our Wellesley High School days tonight and take a look at another team from our senior year that we didn't play on, we were just fans of, but a team that had just a tremendous season that we wanted to recognize, and that is the 2007-2008 Wellesley Raider boys ice hockey team. Now, this team, from start to finish that season, just looked extremely impressive. They won the conference title. They were the number 2 seed in the South Sectional tournament, making it all the way to the South Finals before losing, unfortunately, to Needham, of all teams, who would go on to win the state championship. But that team just gave us so many great memories, from going to the games. I know that year I went to every single home game plus the tournament games. Kyle went to a couple of the games, and one in particular that I think we have to sort of just jump to right out of the gate here was a game in the middle of the season versus the Needham Rockets. It was the annual Battle of Babson. Of course, now Wellesley Hockey plays their home games here in Wellesley at the Boston Sports Institute. But back in the day, them and the Needham Rockets shared the Babson Arena, thus making for some epic battles and matchups. Like I said, what I would coin the battle for Babson. And our senior year game, I've been to a lot of hockey games in my lifetime, high school, college, professional. That game was probably one of the most epic hockey games that I think I've ever seen in my entire life, and that was not hyperbole. First of all, the crowd was amazing. And second of all, the game itself was just incredible. Wellesley got down 2-0 early, but then fought their way back and ended up in a 2-2 tie because they don't do overtime in Massachusetts high school hockey. So it ended up in a 2-2 tie. It was just an epic game. And I know Kyle and I were both there, sort of crammed against the Babson boards, watching all the epicness. So Kyle, I want to throw it to you because obviously, with that game, I mean, we could have a whole show, I feel like, just on that game alone. So just sort of take us back, in your Wayback Machine to that night, just what your memories were from that, like I said, just epic Wellesley Needham showdown on the ice from our senior year.
Yeah, it was definitely the best hockey game I think I've ever seen, especially, at our high school. And it was, you're right, it was epic. It was just that classic, Wellesley Needham face-off, them being, the oldest rivals in the area. It was great. It was, like you said, the crowd on both sides really had, they really had a lot of momentum. They had, a lot of passion, for the team. It wasn't just, one team was, more passionate than the other. No. This was everyone was all in on this game. And I'm really happy I didn't get hit in the head with a puck in that game. That was amazing. I'm really happy like a certain other Babson game that it happened that same year, but that's okay. No, it was like you said, yeah, it was it was epic.
Certainly was. And yeah, you bring up a good point that if both teams sharing the arena, obviously, each year sort of the seating arrangement would be a bit different because one year one school would be in the visitors bleachers and the other year the other school would be. And we actually were the visiting team that particular year. So we were down in the visitors bleachers, and like I said, Kyle and I remember our buddy Zach was there too, and the three of us were kind of crammed up together against the boards. And it was just like I said, it was a great game. Again, 2-2 tie. Couldn't ask for much more in a Wellesley Needham battle. And Kyle, you talk about the crowd. I mean, just I have to ask: have you seen, either before or after that many crowds that with just that amount of sort of passion, energy, and fullness of a crowd that you saw that night?
No, I don't think I ever had seen a crowd that big, especially in a hockey game. I mean, the only crowd, okay, yeah, we had some big crowds at like the Friday Night Lights games for football and stuff like that, but I'd say for hockey specifically, no. I think that was the biggest crowd, and I think that season of hockey, along with also the girls' season of basketball and football, I don't know, it was a very good year, I think, for sports, and it was. I feel like it really kind of brought together the school more in that way. I feel like you could see especially in this for us seniors when us being seniors at the time, it really kind of brought us together during our last year of high school. I really remember those games. Those very just monumental, just just those moments.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. It was senior year in terms of sporting events was quite a fun experience. Like you said, between girls basketball winning the state title, like we talked about on our previous episode, to boys hockey's run, football, sort of being our last high school season of watching / playing football.
It also ended on a really heartbreaking game, so it's like.
But still, it was exciting though. It was exactly. It was that last game, Honeywell Field. Yeah, we may have lost in overtime, but you know what? It was a typical vintage Wellesley Needham game, just with the big crowds and the excitement and stuff like that. And I know actually getting back. Yeah, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. And I know getting back to that hockey season. Obviously, there was that game, that Wellesley Needham game, which, like I said, was sort of the game of the year as far as I'm concerned of all the other hockey games from that season. But you and I actually did go to another boys hockey game together. I remember sort of towards the end of the season, they were playing. I think it was like North Andover or something like that. I remember. I remember it was over February vacation. And I remember you and I were there, and our pal Justin was there.
Justin.
But it was sort of one of the final home games of that season.
Justin too, yeah.
Yeah. Do you what if anything do you sort of remember? We obviously wasn't as memorable. I admit as the Needham game, but what if anything is sort of stands out, especially from a crowd or from all that perspective from that game?
That game unfortunately didn't stick out quite as much, like you said, but it was still the crowd. It wasn't quite as crowded as the Wellesley Needham game. I feel like that game was always going to be a monumental kind of but. But even having said that, I still think that this was one of the, because they were doing they had a really great season and just a lot of great momentum, player wise, fan wise. I think if I remember correctly, there were still a lot of people that showed up. And, not to the levels of Wellesley Needham, but still still great levels though. And it was really nice to see everyone kind of cheering each other on and I remember Zeke, our friend Zeke, Jonathan, I think Matt, right?
Matt Kissaday, yeah.
Oh yeah. I
Well,
remember all the.
John Russell was the public address announcer for that team. So he'd be the guy like that you would hear, calling out the goals and stuff like that. I remember. But yeah, Zeke. Yeah, you had Zeke. You had Josh Geary was like one of their top players offensively for that team. You had so many talented players. It's not really surprising that team did so well. I mean, because it was quite a talented group from our class, and you're right, 100% about the crowds. Since being someone who went to I must say I went to every single home game that season, and the student crowds were just incredible. Game in and game out. People really showed up to support that team, and Babson was a fun place to be on those Wednesday and Saturday nights. Watching boys hockey play. The one other game that I want to point out, just from my own personal perspective, which is also very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
The first tournament game that team had, they played their tournament games that year down in Bourne, Massachusetts, on Cape Cod. And so I was actually able to take a couple of the parents organized a fan bus to each of the games. So I was able to take those from Babson down to Bourne, which is a lot of fun. And nice. The first tournament game they had was against Milton, another all Bay State Conference matchup there. And it was a very, even though Wellesley was like the 2 seed and Milton was the 7 seed, you would think kind of on paper that like it would be a bit of a mismatch. But like that game was like very back and forth, very exciting. And Milton actually, this is crazy, Milton scored to tie the game with 0.7 seconds left to go in the third period. They literally scored in the final second of the game to tie it. So the game went to overtime. And then Matt Kissaday, who we just mentioned about like a couple minutes into overtime, scored the game winner to send Wellesley on. It was just a wild game. I just remember, being there and just everybody going crazy, especially when he scored the overtime goal. It was a pretty sweet experience. So,
nice.
Like I said, just a tremendous season. Like Kyle was saying earlier, we just were lucky to have so many great sports memories from high school in general, but especially from senior year. With girls, especially that winter, I feel like was like your girls basketball winning the state title. You had boys hockey doing well. I mean, just all those other teams. It was something fantastic. So, Kyle, any other just sort of thoughts or, any sort of thoughts on that boys hockey season as we kind of start to wrap up here for you?
Just a quick little thing. That just kind of popped in my head. I remember being in TV video class. I was in the same class with a lot of those players that I mentioned, Zeke, and they were always like, and I remember I always heard them talk about like the games. They were always talking about either getting ready for the game or what happened after the game. So it was kind of cool. I got some like kind of short recaps here and there. So I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, that is well. And I gotta say, it's funny you bring that up because I remember you and another kid in your class, Jeff. A shout out to Jeff, who actually was one of our earliest commenters when we shared our first On a Couch Talking Sports video way back, like, what is it now, 7 years ago. Coming up on 7 years ago, it's crazy. So shout out to Jeff. But you two, I remember, and I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but you two actually did a little like news show, or a one-hit wonder news show on the Wellesley channel. And I remember one of the segments you guys did was because it was kind of like winter time. One of the segments you guys did was about the boys hockey team. You also did one on the girls basketball state title as well. So that was pretty cool to see that recapped by you guys.
Oh yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. So that was one of our projects that we did. So the project was the whole point was like all the we split up into like groups of like two or three, and we essentially basically picked on something that we wanted to report on, like a news report style. So essentially, so we decided. I remember me and my friend Ned, we decided to do a story on the track team. Um, and then that's when you're right, like you said, like there were other the kids, and they mostly like did like sports teams and stuff like that. And then by the end of the year, we just culminated to do this one big giant like news report of just like the whole like everything that we just reported on. And unfortunately, I don't know where the video is.
Yeah,
I've been
it's been
trying
years.
to
It's
find
been
it.
years. It's been years since I've been able to find it anywhere.
Yeah.
But I will say this on YouTube: if you guys are looking for a good YouTube um, watch, there actually is a blooper reel
Oh yeah.
video from. So maybe Kyle, what we can do, Master Editor, maybe we can put the link to that in the description of this video, so people can at least check that part of it, because that was some very funny material you guys had
Oh
from
yeah.
sort of behind the scenes stuff.
It took us so. Just a funny story about that.
Yeah.
We were supposed to do it in one like class. We were supposed to do
Right.
this whole thing in like one class.
Right.
It ended up taking two classes, and you'll see through the bloopers that Jeff and I have different shirts because
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
we just couldn't get through it the first time, so we had to actually redo it the second time.
Oh, that's funny. Classic.
It was
Classic.
incredible.
That is classic though. Like
Yeah, I love it.
that doesn't surprise me at all, knowing you too.
It was like the whole time we were trying to do the news story, and like Jeff and I would just we just say like random things. And then our teacher, I think her name was Julie, and she was like, "Okay, guys, we got to take this from the top again. This is like you can't say that." So it just got really silly. We were just like doing random things, and like I can't even remember. I think like Jeff put like bunny ears behind me or something like that. It was just all this like random stuff going on. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's funny. I mean, yeah, that was, like I said, there were some good stuff. Yeah, we're definitely gonna put a link to that blooper video in our description, for sure. So keep a lookout for that, and definitely check that one out. So yeah, like I said, just sort of big shout out to the to our classmates and fellow alums from that year's hockey team. It was a very special season. Definitely have very fond memories back from those games, even 12, 13 years later.
Especially Jonathan, who we saw actually on our way.
Yes.
Here, so.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to John, who we saw last summer. Yeah, on our way to Nantucket. So that was pretty cool. And shout out to all the rest of those guys. It's kind of funny. Zeke, who was a star goalie for that team, is actually now an assistant coach for the Needham High boys hockey team. So it's kind of changed sides there a little bit. But shout out to him and all the rest of those guys, like I said. So we're now going to move on to sort of the end segments of our show. And I will go first here with my final thought. And my final thought is that the Boston Red Sox pitching staff 100% absolutely unequivocally sucks this year. They basically took a bunch of guys due to injuries and stuff like that off the street, off of Brookline Ave, and are having them pitch at Major League Baseball games. It is not good, folks. It is really not good. I had hope after the first game when they won 13-2, but that's been the only bright spot. They're currently 1-3. They are losing 5-1 currently to the Mets in the sixth inning. The only good news is that Bruins hockey and Celtics basketball starts up beginning on Friday. So that'll sort of help to sort of take focus away from just the dreadfulness that is the Red Sox. But yeah, it's just very tough to watch right now, even just 5 games into the season. So that's for my short little rant / vent of the moment.
Red Sox. You can do better.
It's embarrassing, man. It really is. It's yeah. That's basically the sound effect to sum it all up. But in brighter spots here, I'm now going to throw it over here to Kyle for another lovely, uplifting edition of the Sue's Reviews. Take it away, Kyle.
Well, in the fact that you mentioned bright, I did want to talk about a game, and it is appropriately titled Child of Light, as you see right here. I'm sure, Robbie, you'll recognize it because where have you seen this image before?
Huh?
You recognize that one?
You're gonna have to drop me a lifeline here. For some reason, I'm not. It's not clicking. The light bulb's not going off, unfortunately, right now. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
You gave me the perfect setup, and I just dumped it right back in your face. So I apologize.
That's okay. So that's actually currently my computer background. So I have.
Okay.
I'm sure. Right? Yeah. That's
part of the problem is that like seeing it through your camera lens, just like it's kind of the image is a little bit tricky and distorted. But okay, I'm with you now. I'm with you. I feel you.
But so it's a very fun game. It's like an RPG. It's a side-scrolling RPG. You get into these turn-based battles, and you control this character. This is her name is Princess Aurora. Sorry, this is a 2-game pack. I'll talk about this game maybe another time once I start playing that one. But so she's like the child of light. She's the princess. But I will say, story-wise, you'll need to bring a whole box of tissues to this one because the opening is very very heavy. It's a very heavy story. So essentially, basically, the story is not spoiling anything. She dies in the very first minutes of the game, and it's kind of
you just spoiled something. You said you weren't going to spoil anything, but you just spoiled something.
I know, right? Well, I mean, I'm saying it's not a major spoiler, but because essentially the game starts off with she dies. That's what happens. But her whole thing is now kind of like her journey through death in this like kind of fantasy land that she goes through. It's very sad. It really tugs at your heartstrings. You're going to need at least maybe 3 boxes of tissues to get through this game. But once you start playing it, though, it's really great. The visuals are all hand-drawn. It's a beautiful game just to look at, and you feel really like badass because eventually your character picks up this really cool sword, and she fights all these like really dark creatures. You power her up, and she gets better weapons, and it's just a really great game. You even recruit people as you go along. You have this amazing party. You fight 2 at a time usually, so you can switch your party members in and out. And yeah, it's very engaging. It's just a very engaging game. You solve puzzles, you find chests. It's kind of like Castlevania, a little bit like one of the games I told you about before. Yeah, if you're looking for just a really fun game to play, you can play it on Switch, as I have it right here, part of a double pack. Or you can play it on Xbox or PlayStation. So there you go.
Nice. Yeah, definitely check that out. And as I think we've mentioned this a couple times before, folks. But check out. I will say this: check out Kyle's other YouTube channel. He can post a link to that as well because he has been putting out some new material, some new sort of little projects and stuff like that. So you should definitely, especially if you're into like superheroes and like things of that nature, you should definitely check that out. So we should definitely, along with the blooper video, we could put a link to your second channel in the description. So I'm just giving you what plugs ahoy here. Jeez, you might have to put a check in the mail or something like that. No, I'm just kidding. But
thank you so much, dude. Appreciate that.
No, it's all good. It's hey, it's well deserved. So that's gonna wrap up this week's edition of On a Couch Talking Sports. As always, stay safe, everybody. Stay healthy. thanks as always for tuning in. That's Kyle. I'm pointing over here. That's Kyle over there. I'm Robbie, and we're signing off for this week's edition of On Couch Talking Sports. So, see you next time, everybody, and have a good night.